Please welcome your session speakers for the future of work and skills, Professor Sharon Parker from Curtin University, Jodie Wallace, Director General, Department of Training and Workforce Development, and Professor Sharath Sriram, WA Chief Scientist.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Professor Sharon Parker. I have 3 messages today. Paula asked us for 2. I've snuck in an extra one. The first message, we need to invest in people, not just technology. The second message, we've got to think not just about skills, but how we work. And the third message is that Perth could really lead the way in this, what I will call socio-technical agenda. Let's go to the first message. Invest in people, not just technology. So there's a big fallacy out there in the world of AI being applied to work, and the fallacy is called a technocentric fallacy, and the idea is that technology delivers productivity. Technology does not deliver productivity. Technology and people deliver productivity when they do the work in more effective ways. So let me give an example of this. There's a Swedish fintech company called Klarna, and it got into the news because the CEO was very vocal when he sacked 700 people, 700 customer service agents, and replaced them with chatbots. And he was very proud of himself, and so, talked about how this is the future, etc. And immediately there was, great return because it saved a whole bunch of cash. But what happened over time was that these chatbots were sort of useless at dealing with any nuance or any complex issue, and so customers got really dissatisfied and started leaving, etc. And so the CEO then had to go back into the situation and start rehiring those human workers. And now talks about how actually it's not just about technology replacing workers, which is the dominant mindset, but it's about technology and people working together effectively. And that's echoing the prior message. This isn't an isolated example. There's a huge amount of failure in this area. A study just came out from MIT. 95% of AI applications fail to deliver any return at all. Another study came out showing that 55% of companies who laid workers off because they brought in AI regret their decision. So this is not an isolated example. And the reason that these failures occur is most often because not enough attention has been given to the people side of the equation. And what I mean by that are things like leadership, change management, culture, work design, and skills, of course. So if we want success, we need what we call a socio-technical approach. Not only that, we need to invest in the socio-technical approach. So yes, we invest in technology, but we need to invest in the socio. Everyone says people are their most important asset, but many fewer organisations put their money where their mouth is and actually follow that up with actual investment. So organisations, government need to invest in the socio side of the socio-technical. I want to go to the second message now, and this is around we've got to look at how we work alongside technology. So if we're not just going to plop technology in and replace people, then we've got to think about how is the AI and the humans going to work together? How are they going to complement each other? Who should do what? Who should be in control? Who should make decisions? And that's how we get success. So just to give a quick example, a study has just come out looking at customer service agents, exactly like the Klarna example, but they designed the technology so that in real time, the human workers could get some, the AI would be listening and then would give some suggestions in real time to the agents. And then the agents could decide whether or not they took on that advice. So they were still in control, but they could use that information. And they saw a 15% increase in productivity, particularly high amongst the low skill, the new people. But they also saw better quality work because the customers were less rude because they were getting better service, so less of the job demands, emotional pressures that can occur in those sorts of roles. I won't give another example, but I could have. But so the message there is we've got to look more at how we work, humans and machines, together. And that's a bit neglected currently. My third message is that Perth could really lead the way in this area. Somebody earlier said they weren't going to talk about NIMBYism, but I think we have a NIMBY thing here in Perth around expertise. In other words, if the expertise is in the backyard, sometimes I think it's a bit undervalued and it's much more sexy to go off to Harvard or Stanford or whatever. We've got brilliant expertise here in Perth. We've got young people, we've got academics, we've got industry bodies, and I think we have a fantastic opportunity here to make Perth a great place to work, actually, a great place to work and live. So I guess my vision is, creating work that is enabled by AI, not just replaced by AI. And thank you, Paula, so much for giving a Perth person a voice on this important topic. Thank you very much.
My name is Jodie Wallace. I'm the Director General at the Department of Training and Workforce Development. To start off with, I'd like to acknowledge from the outset the critical role of the state's education and training institutions and the important role they play in supporting the delivery of skills for individuals and employers, and the profound effect that high quality, affordable schooling, training and education can have on the lives of the people in our community and the strength of our economy. We know the foundation of a strong, diversified economy is a highly skilled workforce. Training Western Australians and equipping them with the skills they need to take advantage of the jobs available in our state's booming economy is central to meeting our workforce needs. Data from Jobs and Skills Australia shows that 9 of 10 new jobs will require post-secondary qualifications, and around 44% will require vocational training qualification. This emphasises just how crucial education and training is to skilling our workforce. Importantly, vocational training also helps people gain foundational skills as well as upskilling and reskilling for lifelong learning so they can succeed in the workforce. And that's why investing in education and training to develop our pipeline of skilled workers is a key priority for our agency and for our government. We're focusing at our agency on our big economic transitions and strategic shifts expected over the next 5 years and beyond, out to 2050, and probably beyond that as well, to enable our state's training system to play its crucial role in developing the skills and capabilities our workforce for a growing, sustainable and thriving economy. Some of these things include the diversification of the economy and the movement to a low-carbon future and meeting future economic needs. The needs to focus on student support and wellbeing to ensure that no one gets left behind as the economy grows and diversifies. The commitment to empower and support First Nations people to develop skilling solutions that will enable them to realise their full potential. The importance of digital skills, digital capability and the digitisation of service delivery to provide greater access to learning, jobs and careers of the future. And the central importance of TAFE as a public institution and the need to partner with TAFE and other RTOs to enhance the capability to deliver contemporary and agile learning experiences for students across Western Australia. There's some key industries that are diversifying our economy. One is defence, and I know we're going to hear from Linda Dawson shortly. That's critical to the state as a major economic contributor and supports a highly skilled workforce and is diversifying our economy. And of course, some upcoming challenges that we need to work through is the high demand for skilled workers as this industry grows, and in line with other important industry sectors across the economy like mining. We're responding through some really critical strategies like the Defence Industry Skills Centre of Excellence that will help develop skills for sustainable nuclear-powered submarines and naval shipbuilding in Western Australia, ensuring a pipeline of skilled workers. Staying with the Made in WA agenda, it also covers a number of key commitments to build the pipeline of skilled workers to support other critical and emerging industries while providing free and low-cost training in areas where they're most needed. And that includes areas like critical minerals, defence, as I've said, clean energy, advanced manufacturing, and also creative industries. Due to the abundance of natural resources spread across our state, a lot of or a majority actually, of the clean energy renewable projects will occur across regional Western Australia. So it's really important, as we've got an important focus today on Committee for Perth and what's happening in the Perth metropolitan area, that we are thinking about where those clean energy jobs and skills will be needed, and worker mobility around the state and also across industries. There's a huge demand for skilled workers across mining resources, defence, clean energy, building and construction and the like, which brings us to occupations like electricians, where they're going to be in high demand across the economy. And of course there's a really important need to focus on our building and construction industry, which is the third largest employing industry in Western Australia. Moving on to the care sector, where it's the largest industry employer in WA at about 14.5% of total employment, and critical to Western Australia's economic and community needs. Investment in childcare, aged care and disability care will continue to be important. And importantly, it's also we need to be thinking about gender diversity in our workforce. We know that those occupations and industries where there's less diversity, there's a greater shortage of skills. And finally, we need to think about how we supplement the workforce with interstate and international migration to make sure that we have the skilled workers that we need across the economy in Western Australia. And we're working really closely with the Commonwealth Government to make sure that those migration policy settings are fit for purpose from a Western Australian perspective to grow our economy. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Sharath Sriram. I'm Western Australia's Chief Scientist. So you might wonder, what does a Chief Scientist do? I think pretty much what we're doing at the summit today, looking beyond the horizon, try and prepare for the future and protect our state and our economy. So for me, I'm very happy to be here. I was very excited when Paula said the Committee for Perth is organizing this event, because the more we think ahead, the more we are prepared, the better our opportunities are. So when you think of the future of work and skills, which is the topic of today, I was grappling with what the future is. And often it's the unknown. If we go back to every industrial revolution, it's been faster and faster. I know Juhi said she didn't want to use the word exponential, but the rate at which industrial revolutions happen is getting exponential. So to do work in that space and to prepare a city for it, we have to go back to the foundation of it. Why do we have cities? What draws us to a city? It's a place we enjoy living in, the place we imagine we can bring up families, the place which offers us security. And the security has multiple elements. It's food, water, energy, environment, and just defense. Now, those 5 elements are all based on innovation. And it's one of those things where we take it for granted. We take our resource industry for granted. But why is it successful? It is actually one of the most innovative industries in the world. I'm not sure how many of you know, Western Australia has the most automated vehicles in the world and had it for decades. All the rest are catching it up. Yes, you may see people in them, but here we operate them from Perth, in the mines far away. So that innovation has kept Western Australia at the forefront. And so that can be applied in every industry. So if you look at work, the way we attract talent is having a critical mass. People should be able to imagine they can come here and work in one industry or company, move to another if this doesn't work out. And so we do need to create a critical mass aspect. So for the work piece, I'd say our biggest opportunity is building precincts where we actually create critical mass. Obviously, Linda is going to talk about all the strategies and plans in defense. That's going to create our second biggest industry. Now, what are the others? And we need to be doing it in every pillar of security we require. We need it in health, which means we need remote health, and digital health, given the size and spread of WA, the single largest health jurisdiction in the world, covering 2.5 million square kilometers, with so many remote towns. If we are able to do it remotely and with digital, then we can harness the power of AI to draw in and drive insights into health. Similarly, it involves ecological management, which is alternative energy sources, better use of resources. And so the reason I bring these up, these are provocations. It's about how we design a city for the future. And to me, innovation is going to be an engine, and it has to be around precincts. Just as an aside, a week or so back, we had the Nobel Prize for Economics announced. I'm a scientist. I don't follow economics. But I was actually excited to see the winners won it for creative disruption. And if you were to actually look at the press release, it had 6 figures. The 6th figure was most interesting. It was very geeky. It had a bunch of gears of different sizes, and the gears turning together drive growth on a graph. And the biggest gear right in the center was research and development and innovation. And that is the engine of growth. And so that's one of the reasons I'm creating this call for innovation precincts. The last aspect is the skills piece. And we've constantly heard about AI. And someone asked me a couple of months back, okay, everyone has knowledge at the fingertips. So what is the future of education? And I said, that's the big distinction. People have information at their fingertips. They don't have knowledge. And information is as good as the first principle of coding, garbage in, garbage out. So you need to know how to vet it. So knowledge to me, as an engineer, is information plus critical thinking. And that's what we need to be training our young people in. The ability to think critically and to have an aptitude for learning. And only then they can keep up with that rapid change in industrialization. So on that, thank you very much, and I hand over to Linda.
Thanks, Sharath, and this feels a bit like a pitch fest. Hi, I'm Linda Dawson, the State Government's resident hoodie, Head of Office of Defence Industries. Pleasure to be here today. Defence industry is set to become the second economic driver for the state of Western Australia, behind our massive resources sector. A long way to go to get to that pinnacle, but it will surpass agriculture. WA by 2050 will be host and operating the largest Southern Hemisphere naval shipbuilding and sustainment base. So significant sort of opportunities present themselves. This is being driven through AUKUS and the trilateral partnership between Australia, the US and the UK, and a nuclear-powered submarine sustainment base being established in Western Australia, establishing a new industry too. We do not have nuclear power capability in Australia. We do not have a nuclear power industry in Australia, civil industry. So this is building a new industry sector and a new capability. Submarines will be built in South Australia, but all of the sustainment and the basing of submarines will occur here. This is coupled with shipbuilding. And I'm not sure, the slide's not up, but you will see a slide pop up at some point. We're also the home of continuous naval shipbuilding and one of 2 hubs in Australia. And over the next couple of decades, WA is earmarked to build 45 naval vessels for our Royal Australian Navy, which is a huge opportunity again. These are multi-decade programs. They are high-skilled, creating high-skilled, high-valued, intergenerational jobs. And certainly if you go anywhere in the world, you can certainly see the embedding of these naval sort of sustainment and shipbuilding capabilities into the ecosystem and what they deliver and yield socially, economically and jobs. And importantly, they're jobs that are contributing to the peace, security and defence of our nation and also the region as well. In addition to this, AUKUS brings critical minerals sort of capability. Defence has high demand for safe and ethical supply of critical minerals, not just the minerals themselves, but the processing capability and the production into metals. The sensors, the AI, all the things that Sharon and Sharath have certainly spoken to, the sensors, AI, the comms capability, anything we need from semiconductor-wise, most of the sort of combat systems and all the things that go into into these defence capabilities require secure, ethical supply. And we've all just seen sort of the announcement of the partnership between Australia and the US over the last 48 hours or so for $13 billion into helping to grow that capability in Australia, and Western Australia is in the box seat for that. We have some 134 odd projects, resource projects here. We have some 50 minerals sitting beneath the soils here in WA, so creating that pathway to process is really important. But wait, there's more. AUKUS Pillar 2, which is the second part of the AUKUS capability, is all about advanced technology. Again, it is building and harnessing on dual-use capability that has been born out of our resource and energy sector here, growing sort of jobs in sort of generative AI, advanced cyber, autonomous system capability, undersea capability, next generation communications capability in laser communications. All of that is happening right here in WA, servicing multiple industry sectors, and certainly through the trilateral partnership, opportunities for research, innovation, commercialisation and scaling of that capability. In addition, there are export opportunities for companies here to scale and grow, to contribute to building trilateral submarine industrial supply chains, but also defence industrial supply chains. So huge amount of opportunities, I think, for our companies, for our young people, for the future, contributing in a new sector that is growing right here in WA. So I think we're blessed geostrategically, we're blessed geologically, and if you're not thinking about defence industry, you should be. Thank you.